lady we've just heard from, and that should be the speaker by the name Prince. I think we are in a wake and a time and a season where we are fighting for the application of democracy without dilution. And one thing we ought to understand is there's no way you are going to fight for democracy when you are dividing the very people you need in your sling to win that kind of a war or battle, if that be the case. And therefore, there were several remarks that Prince made, and I think I stand to correct him, because I know we are headed somewhere as a nation and we ought to speak one language on the issues that are facing us. And therefore, there's a statement he made concerning the Kalenjins, concerning the Kikuyus, whichever matter it is. It is very true, yeah. I agree with him, we have tribalism. But just because somebody has favored a certain group of people from a certain tribe, then that should not be the agitating power for any one of us to think that we need to label such a tribe as such a politician. Because what happens is when somebody is in power and he wants to get people from maybe his community or whatever, basically they unpick their covenant, and we cannot summarize and say community X is black because we have 10 people who are from that community who are black. And therefore, what I'm just trying to say is we need everybody on board. It is true we have cases of tribalism. We have cases whereby things are not happening well, but we ought not to forget that. In as much as there are many people in a given department or sector in a government, more than others, we need those communities to fight for our democracy. We need those communities to fight for our liberation. So let the categories of people who we know, so and so was brought here illegally, when we have everything in our power and in our hand, we can be in a position to deal with those people. So I just needed to make it clear so that we don't shout at the zenith of our voices and try to see a certain tribe as if it is bad because the leader comes from that tribe. So we need everybody on board. Now, here is my submission, and I want to thank all the speakers who have made the great contribution before us here today. Now, I think we have a square problem in the whole matrix of the current politics of UDA since they ascended into power in 2022. And the reason as to why I say this is because the issue that I'm going to address here, I value and I put it among the cardinal issues that I have, basically because when UDA candidates that was Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua came to power, or even before they came to power, they were seeking votes. They went throughout the nation trying to get votes from each one of us. And most people, they accepted those two guys. Now, the narrative that Ruto and Rigathi used to was this. Their narrative was, the reason as to why we are standing with my brother is because this other guy here called Raila Amolo Odinga is a devil. Raila is a demon. Raila is a man of Enugu powers. Raila sleeps with witch doctors. That's where Raila gets his power. All manner of things. Now, listen to me very carefully. Now, that kind of a statement was a system of mobility to try to drive the society of Kenya, and now we view the politics from a different angles, quite different from the true stratas of politics. And therefore, it was the politics of those who want power because they are angels versus they that we don't want them to ascend to that power because they are demons. So who becomes the victim? Now, these two guys, they appeared using the image of the church, and the baby they brought us, who today I will tell you without fear that baby was a bastard. A bastard is anything that has been born out of wedlock. It cannot be recognized. So these guys knew what we have in hand is bastard, but we need the blessings of the church so that we can sell the idea of this bastard and then we cling to the seat of power. So what happened is they came to the church and the church accommodated that bastardhood of UDA. Now, when the church accepted that thing, I am telling you for sure, that is how these two guys were able to have easy time to get our votes, to get the votes from the church, to get support from the church. I am speaking from a position of understanding what was going on. I happen to be in the operation of the clergy. Sorry, I didn't want to disclose maybe my details, but I'm telling you, even the other day, the Pentecostal group came out and it was saying how guys fasted and prayed, how people went for many days in prayer for this government. Now, this is the question that I've been asking, and this is what we need to ask ourselves. And the reason why I've brought this issue is because I need you to understand, for our fight for liberation and democracy, the church, the very same church that was used to be the kingmaker, we need to engage that church, because one, it is either the church closes the doors to this politician, and number two, the church comes out to denounce those bastards, or else the church is going to say, we thought these guys are going to work for us, and they have really literally failed the Kenyans, and therefore there is a need for us to take a different direction. And the reason as to why I say these guys, they knew whatever they had as a baby was a bastard, is because now we had a polarization of a demon versus a saint. And this is a question I need to ask you so that I may give other speakers time also to make their contribution. This is my question, without having any issue to do with any candidate who stood in 2022. How comes that the very man that the church was told was a demon, Raila Amolo Odinga, that Ruto went back using the back door, he went and brought in the same guy who the church was rallied to pray against, and now Raila is supposedly in government, his people are in government. My question is, at what time and stage did Raila become a saint? Because we were told the guy was a bad man. So in reality, so who was fooling who? So only this tells me that the church was used to sanitize a bastard. So whatever character these two guys they have tried to bring in our faces, it has been a lie since the beginning. And let me tell you, and I'm sorry, I am standing from a position where I need maybe to have a support for the church. But let me tell you the truth. I've heard people say yesterday, it is better. It is better when we had a dragged leader than those guys who seem to be so sacramental and so pious. You see, so this is my submission to every one of us. In this discussion and engagements, we must bring the church onto account, because the church was used to sanitize people who do not have morals in everything that they are trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diplomat Joseph. That was a nice submission, and for the members who are just coming, we are having a conversation, state of the nation. We have 5 major things that happened previously that we are trying to look into. That is the impeachment of the deputy president regarding Gachagua. We have the public participation of the same bill. We have Morara being attacked at the venue of the public participation. And when we flip to the other side of the Senate, we have 2 bills that are pending. That we have the limit of the presidency, that is to move from 5-year to 7-year table to be tabled by Senator Cherangai. And also we have the censure of the President William Ruto by Senator Dan. So these are the state of the nation, and we are trying to capture all these at a go. So the next speaker, we are going to have Wycliffe. Then after Wycliffe, we will be having Dr. Maju, then Dr. Milton. Wycliffe, karibu. I think we are losing Wycliffe. Dr. Maju.
Thank you. Is that one Abdi or Pombe?
This is Pombe de Kali. Abdi just got back. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdi. I'm sorry, it's when I've joined and I've seen Larry has sent me an invite to come to the speaker, and I was still listening to the views of the listeners and other speakers. But on just to pick on what your highlights on the matters that we are discussing, the Morara issue, the impeachment of the DP president. I would like to say that I'm very happy with the Kenyans this time around, those who came out in large number to participate in their areas of participation on the impeachment of the Deputy President of Kenya, Gachagua. They responded positively that I can see a song saying that kufa gari, kufa dereva, kufa makanga. So walikuja wote, let all of them go home. And also what made me happy again is when the people came out and said that we are not going to solve their problem. When they have a problem, they should solve it by themselves, because when we are having a problem, the MPs are not taking a concern of sitting down and handling our issues. So first of all, I'm happy with that. Let me handle the issue of Morara. I've been trying to dig what could bring the cause at Bomas. But I remember when Morara came in, he was blocked by the policeman not to access that room. Later on, he forced himself inside, and there was a case. Inside that hall, the Marco Ure also was inside, and everybody saw or listened to what Marco Ure said. He gave his support fully that it is Gachagua to go home and not together with the president. And I think immediately when Morara came in, Morana didn't talk. He was trying a bit to use the sign language of showing that whatever is going on here should not go on. So we are still not understanding the take or the stand of Morara and Marco Ure, but it is very clear that Marco Ure has developed a political interest. And this one can clearly tell the Gen Zs that in as much as we talk of having new fresh blood, people will always be people, because if you see Marco Ure now will stand in front and fight for only the deputy president. Somebody asked a very funny question, that if we send the deputy president, will we have drugs in the hospital? Will we have no corruption in this country if we remain with Ruto alone? Is it Gachagua that is generating all this? Which to me the answer is no, because the head of the state is none other than William Samoei Ruto. So we have to be very careful, the young people also, and the likes of Morara, is any of them is listening, whichever. I tried to reach this guy called KUT who was together with them there, and I told them that it is politics and they must be very, very careful. Let them be ready for such things. The like of Alado and the TJ will never joke with them around, because nobody will just give you power easily. Those are one of the things that the so-called Raila passed through. Raila rebelled with his father some days back, and he went through some hardship. If you read his stories well, I remember there is a story that I was reading about him when the father was having a party at their home, and Raila skipped that party, him together with Nyong'o, because his father wanted to front none other than James Orengo. He escaped that party, and not just skipping that party, he went ahead and brought a chaos to disrupt that party at their own home. So those are politics, and they should read the game. If they are not careful, we will lose them as early as we lost the likes of Tomboy. So once you are in the game of politics, your strategy needs a strategy, and never pretend that things will flow normal. Let me listen to other speakers. Then, if you will allow me, come back again after I've analyzed 1, 2, 3 things. I'll give my view, but I'm happy to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maju. Let me bring in our one of our guest speaker, Dr. Milton, and then we move to the next speaker. Thank you, Dr. Milton. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Abdi. First of all, let me confirm that everybody can hear me.
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much. First of all, like I always do, I want to pay tribute to the fallen comrades who paid the ultimate price as a result of the June 25th protest and the aftermath to that. We owe them a debt of gratitude for paying the ultimate price, and we must make sure that their blood and their life was not in vain. Having said that, I want to speak to something which has been disturbing to me the whole of this week. That as a country, we are faced with a very sad reality. We have a leadership that does not care about the country, and those of us who care about Kenya, we must be able to have the courage to stand up and say no to it. There is a deliberate scheme to slide the country back to anarchy and into the dictatorship of the Moi era. But it should be concerning to everybody that the person who's taking us back came in with the Bible, and he told the country that he was sent as a Messiah to rescue the Kenyan people from the shackles of dynasties and now, listening to, I don't know how many of us, and I want to make reference to Dr. Barak Muluka, a man that I have a lot of respect for, who, speaking on Spice FM, I think early, was it on Monday or Tuesday, he said that if you ask him has William Ruto and his regime lost the agenda and the plan? Dr. Muluka said, and I want to say it here for those who may not have followed, and if you didn't, I want to encourage you to go online and listen to Barak Muluka. He said that as far as he's concerned, William Ruto is right on course with his agenda for Kenya, against Kenya. And those of us who believed in the masked William Ruto are the ones who think that there is anything new happening to William Ruto. William Ruto is keeping with his agenda for seeking power. He's kept every side of the bargain in showing us that in 2 short years, his government and leadership is riddled with corruption scandals amounting to $500 billion plus. And here is the reason why. Adani is about 200, north of 200 billion shillings. The chief, a Piero thing, is another 104 billion. That takes you to 300 billion plus. You would remember we had the edible oil saga, which was 5 billion. And we had the G2G oil deal. We do not know how much it is worth, but we know that there was 17 billion worth of oil that was allegedly imported into the country by one lady, and that mafuta ilipotea. I don't know whether anybody has followed that. And then you have the ghost schools under the Ministry of Education that are receiving capitation Those schools don't exist. They only exist for purposes of elections and corruption. And the number is about 10,000 of them, if I am not wrong. But those numbers can be confirmed. So basically, William Ruto has borrowed about 5 trillion. Maybe it could have gone to 6 by now, and 10% of that money cannot be properly accounted for. But let me talk about the areas of concern for me. William Ruto and the state of the nation is such that for me, we must be able to see it the way it is. William Ruto, from when he came into office, his agenda was to finish everything that has been there and set up his own system. And he started testing the waters very early. Unfortunately, the Kenyan people were duped into believing that give this president time. But the time we were giving him was for him to entrench himself and put his henchmen in strategic places. So number one, he made sure that in his book, he will appoint every incompetent person so that when he sits in cabinet and when the state agencies of state, he made sure that he is in control and everybody says, yes, sir, yes, your excellency, yes, sir, because if it is Linturi, nimekutoa wapi? Wewe ulikuwa na kesi za corruption, ulikuwa unamalizwa, tumemaliza kesi. So Linturi will not say anything. So as CS, he started by appointing a cabinet that is incompetent, has baggage and skeletons in their closet so that he can be in charge. And Kenyans didn't say anything. Kenyans fell for this thing that let's give him time. Then came the scandals. They started with the edible oils one with Moses Kuria, and then it fizzled out just like that. 5 billion. Nobody's talking about it, and it's done. Then he went to parliament and bought all the political parties, installed Wetangula, and Wetangula is indebted to him. Papa Waroma thinks being number 3 in the pecking order is a big thing. So Bunge, we lost it. Kenyans lost it. They tested waters with a few things. The first one was the supplementary budget of 2023, and then the big one of 2023 in the finance bill, mukapiga kelele wa Kenya, and nothing happened. He tested the waters. He knows he can control the National Assembly, controls the Senate. And then came the appointments to parastatals. Mtu wako na deni ya KRA ya 2 billion anafaa kulipa, ndio sasa anakuwa chairman wa KRA. And Kenyans are not talking about it. He comes and says the oil subsidy thing was a kiosk where Uhuru's cronies were eating 65 billion every month. He undid that thing, he stopped it. He raised the fuel prices, and then he installed his cronies, his own people, under the new thing. I can't remember what they called it. They set up that thing. Bei ya mafuta haikushuka by half of what it had gone up. Kenyans did nothing. And now, the finance bill is here. He has felt the pressure. Amedanganya wa Kenya that he is a listening president. Dennis Itumbi, my brother, who I have known for many years since our time in college, comes and says, listening president. And the country falls for it. And then he dangles the carrot for Baba and tells Baba, you can be the chairman of AU. So, and because you can't be chairman of AU without getting endorsed by your country, I am going to do it. I'm going to run the secretariat. Baba gets excited, and then the whole country is in a mess. Picks 4 ODM guys, puts them in cabinet, in critical dockets, zenye tayari wameiba. And what he is basically doing, and this is what I want you to see, he has put Mbadi in the treasury, where they know they have stolen, they have committed the country to some illegalities in the name of domestic borrowing. So now, When everything is going to fail, like now they have to do the finance bill again. Who is going to bring it? Mbadi. Somebody is going to be the most unpopular politician by the time the finance bill is coming. So Ruto is saying, Oparanya, hii hustler fund tulisha kula. Tumemalizana nayo. Oparanya, kuja hapa, wewe ndio mnasema mnajua. Then you look at Opio Wandai. They have given out Ketrako to Adani fictitiously. So Opio Wandai is told, kuja, simamia energy. And you know, then Joho, oh, wewe unajifanya kujua sana, kuja, mining. When they have already given concessions for illegal mining, and when all those scandals are going to come out, who is going to look bad? It is going to be the experts, the ODM experts are going to be the ones Ruto will turn to and say, Bwana, sasa situlileta serikali ya kila mtu. So that Ruto then looks good. That you know, hata kama mnasema mimi ni mbaya, sasa mimi ni mbaya aje na hao watu nilileta wa ODM. Anyway, cut the long story short. William Ruto knows today Kenyans are gullible. Kenyans will not watakasirika for a few days, and that's it. So he is now testing the waters with bringing that bill ya kuimpeach Gachagua. And then Cherargei is sneaking in that one of term limit. Basically he's saying, hii nitapitisha hizi vitu zote, I can now test the waters. He has deployed the military illegally, and he has unleashed the police on the people, police brutality. Nothing is happening. He comes and pretends. He doesn't know of any Kenyan that is missing. An 8-year-old or 12-year-old is sprayed with bullets. He comes and says, at least that boy is alive. And the country is just watching. Kome was sacrificed. Now they have brought in Masengeli. They have messed him up. They have brought Kanja. They are going to mess him up. All I am saying is that William Ruto is testing the waters. He is bringing in the term limit, removal, change the terms of the presidency, set up the IEBC now that he has pocketed Baba, control everything. He says, wacha twende referendum. He will force that referendum. Even if you vote yes, William Ruto is a master stealer of elections. He is going to manipulate that referendum. He will be a president for life. And all that we've had will be negated. That is the sad state of our country. And that is why I am calling upon all of us, comrades. I said some time back that this is the dictatorship that William Ruto wants to take us back to. This is not the time to attack Kasmuel Makoure, Morara Kebaso. This is not the time to say you are the next president and you want to replace William Ruto. This is not the time to even tell anybody about political ambitions, because we don't have a country. What we have to do right now is to pull together and say William Ruto has to go. The people have to take back their power so that we don't slide to the anarchy. Leaders are chosen by God and anointed by the Almighty. And even when it may seem like we need to get a figurehead, a leader, God will appoint a leader for the Kenyans when William Ruto and his cabal has been run out of town. Fellow Kenyans, we are staring at a return 4 decades back if we don't target our swords at William Ruto and his people. This is not the time to attack young people like Kasmuel. This is not the time to turn against each other. This is a time to draw together. The enemy is not any one of us who has not tested power. The enemy is not even Baba. Right now, the enemy is the master conniver. As the man of cloth did acknowledge here, the church was duped to go into bed with the devil. This is the time for the country to come together. This is the time for us to revert to those spaces that hundreds and millions of people in one space, Kenyans speaking one language. This is not the time for people to be divided, because a people united can never be divided, can never be defeated. We must be able to see, tuone William Ruto 18 vile Gen Z wanasema na tumfukuze. Hizi vipindi za kufukuza sijui Gachagua sijui na yeye analetewa yake, all that is razzmatazz that does not matter. It is meant to distract us. It is a hair being thrown at us so that we lose sight of the antelope that we've been hunting for. We must not fall for that temptation. And I am calling upon us as I land that this is a time to look for Kasmuel Makoure. This is a time to look for Kebaso. This is a time to bring all these forces together into one, so that the benefit of history by those who understand where Kenya has come from and how the liberation struggle has been can be able to share their nuggets of wisdom with these young people, so that they stop falling for the premature carrot that is being dangled and start going after the hare when the antelope is running away. I want to land at that point and open it up so that we can further discuss. The state of the nation right now is that the people cannot afford to be against each other. The people must be together. I risk starting to repeat myself. I have made my point. Abdi, I drop mic. Let the conversation continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Milton, always for the great presentation. Let me cycle back to Linus. He's on the mic. Linus, I'll let you come in with chime in into this conversation again. Thank you.
Kindly permit. I've just rejoined. I dropped, unfortunately, and I've not picked much of what has been said. Let me listen to what's being said first, then I think I come back later. Kindly.
Thank you. That's fine. So I will go back to who was the next speaker, Pombe?
I think we have lost some of our speakers here. We only have Dr. Milton and Linus and the co-host and the host. I'm trying to bring some of the speakers, and also please, I would like you guys to request speakers so that we make the conversation going without breaks. So meanwhile, Abdi, as I try to bring speakers, can we have some recap kidogo from you?
Yeah. So I would like to talk about, there was a lot of issue about public participation in Kenya. Once and again, it has laid the bare selective nature of our democracy. What we see today is a facade of inclusivity used as a political tool, rather than a genuine commitment in engaging with citizens. I think it's striking that public input is being invoked with such intensity when it comes to proposed impeachment of a deputy president. Yet, the same voices were silenced when the finance bill, one of the most consequential pieces of legislation, was bulldozed through parliament without adequate consultation. Why is public participation wielded as a weapon to legitimize certain political actions, but ignored when it comes to policies that will shape the lives of millions of Kenyans? I think this speaks to the broader pattern of exclusion and manipulation, where the democratic principles of public participation is only honored in a rhetoric, not into practice. When it comes to the finance bill, the voices of the ordinary Kenyans were already bearing the brunt of high cost of living. Inflation, joblessness were deemed irrelevant. The bill was pushed through with an urgency that dismissed any call for input, debate, or dissent. I think where was the public consultation when it comes to most needed times? It was cast aside, I think, replaced by hurried sessions and political muscle flexing. And this is the strategy now they want to use moving forward, as Dr. Milton said. This is the same disregard is also evident in the ongoing debate around sustainable health insurance fund. The push for mandatory contribution from all, regardless of income, risks one size fit all policy that risk penalizing already those at the margin. There is no clear articulation of how funds will be used, no transparency in the structure, no space for health professionals and communities to weigh in. It seems we are asking a struggling family to shoulder yet another financial burden without assurance. These are all the problems that have been coming on and off. I'll hand over the mic back to you, Pombe, so that you can bring the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdi. In the speaker, we have Peter, Lucas, and Duke as new speakers. I will start by giving chance to Peter. Peter, karibu. Peter, are you there? All right. As Peter is trying to get, let me jump to Lucas. Lucas, karibu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I'm very happy to be part of this this wonderful meeting to decide the course of our country that has been stolen and been raped by those selfish leaders who think they are not leaders, anarchists and rulers, thugs who doesn't care about us, but they just want to care about their stomachs and their children. And one thing I want to say, there was a speaker who talked about unity and all those things. If someone has proven that is a mole in our midst, we are not here to be naive enough to start speaking about peace. This shit about peace was the one this regime used against us to start lying to us that anataka kuunganisha sijui Kenya. And peace is not a problem in this country. Unity is not a problem. The biggest problem in this country is stealing, people being selfish. So they use a rhetoric to steal from us. Anyone like now Kasmwe, who has proven to us
guys. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened, man. Oh my god. Hey, Kango, just